Welcome back. I'm Wyatt Goolsby in for Lauren Ashburn. A UK couple's efforts to keep their son alive is provoking sympathy and outrage across the world. The parents of terminally ill baby Charlie Gard say he will be taken off life support at a London children's hospital today. Charlie is 10 months old and suffers from a rare genetic condition. His parents lost a bid to take him to the U.S. for trial therapy earlier in the week. They say the hospital won't allow Charlie to be brought home to die. Joining us now is Dr. John Brehany, an ethicist with the National Catholic Bioethics Center, which is dedicated to promoting human dignity in healthcare according to the teachings of the Catholic Church. John, what is the Catholic approach to Charlie's story? In other words, how do we apply Catholic teaching to Charlie's case?
Well, the Church gives us a rich moral tradition and some very specific teachings on ordinary and extraordinary treatments. Ordinary basic treatments are obligatory. Extraordinary, very burdensome treatments are not obligatory, but may be chosen by a patient or family under Church teaching. What the Church does not have a specific teaching on, I would say, is the notion of futile treatment. Are there some treatments that are so clearly ineffective or burdensome that no patient or family could ever request them? The Church doesn't have a teaching on that. And it doesn't really have a teaching on what to do in the case of conflict. Church teaching presumes that patients, families, and doctors are going to work together.
Because the conflict here, John, seems to be that the parents, Charlie Gard's parents, don't seem to have a say in all of this. They don't get to decide when and where he dies. What about the rights of the parents in this?
Yeah, I would have to say what strikes me as extraordinary in this case, which is very complex, and I can't say I understand all the details, but what is extraordinary is that where the parents think there is some therapy that does not in itself sound like it is burdensome, painful, or any of that, and where the parents have their own resources, they're not making any claim on the state, that the state would arrogate all the power to itself to decide this. And that is dangerous, I would say, for the state to do that, absent the most clear and compelling evidence of harm being inflicted on a patient. I do think that's extraordinary, and it does seem to come from having a national health service where really the state, there's a foundation for these kinds of claims.
And this can get so complicated considering they were in the UK but seeking treatment in the US. John, what can families who find themselves in this situation or similar situations go for Catholic guidance?
Well, I would say for ethical guidance, the leading source in the United States and probably the world is the National Catholic Bioethics Center, which has a 24/7 hotline, email, and phone. In the UK, there is an Anscombe Center for Bioethics. It's very fine. Parents who find themselves in these conflicts should look for both ethical and legal resources.
Well, I can imagine it'd be tough for any family to work through some of these conflicts, so it's nice to get a Catholic perspective on this. Dr. John Brehany, an ethicist with the National Catholic Bioethics Center. Thanks so much for breaking it down.
You're welcome.
There's been reaction all over the world to the Charlie Gard case, including at the Vatican. Edward Penton, Rome correspondent for EWTN's National Catholic Register, joins us now. Edward, what has been the reaction to the Charlie Gard case in Italy?
Well, the reaction has been quite strong, perhaps even stronger than in England. I think the people here are very concerned about this case. There's going to be, there is a prayer vigil that's taken place in the British Embassy in Rome. There's a rosary recited here in St. Peter's Square. And I think the great concern is that Charlie Gard is being seen not as a person, but characterized by his illness. And they feel that, and also in particular, that the parents' say in this is not being heard.
Well, what about the Vatican, Edward? What are they saying about the situation?
Well, fairly similar. I mean, in the sense that Archbishop Pallier of the Pontifical Academy for Life has said that the rights of the patient are paramount. But at the same time, quoting a statement from the bishops of England and Wales, he says that there's great complexity in this case, and that the treatment, there shouldn't be aggressive medical treatment applied in this case, which is disproportionate to the illness that's in question. So there is that balance that they're trying to strike. They warn against sensationalism and superficiality in reporting on this case, but at the same time they do say that the interests of the patient should be paramount.
How have those comments been received?
Well, not too bad, but some are concerned that perhaps the rights of the parents aren't being properly upheld. There's concern that the state is being seen as the arbiter in this, and not the parents, who they feel have every right to help the child survive and prolong their life as long as possible. And they feel that, when that's the case, when the parents are mistreating children, then fine, that state should intervene. But when they're trying to prolong a life, then they can't understand why the state's intervening in this case. So they would have liked more emphasis on that, and they're concerned that this could open the floodgates to all sorts of abuses in the future, really carried out by the state, and how the state views the dignity of the human being and not the parent.
Well, I know this is a sensitive case to so many people. It's nice to hear so many in Italy praying for Charlie Gard and his family. Edward Penton, Rome correspondent for EWTN's National Catholic Register. Thanks so much, Edward.
Thank you, Matt.